Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I will be exploring this cool blend setup for geometry nodes in Blender by ffuthoni. So, hair curve strands using geometry nodes. You might have seen similar setup, but this one is much simpler and it's really easy to use. Basically, you can turn a single spline into multiple strands of hair, just like anime, 3D anime. And if you download yesterday, the latest blend actually allowing you to have multiple splines, so you probably want to download the latest one. You can download this blend for free, or you can add donations. And it comes with some setup for the material for the UV curve. So the setup looks like this. Let's take a look very quickly. Control middle mouse button, drag. If this is too small, you can drag it up like that. If you open the blend and it's too small. So this is the setup. It has two curves in the 3D view. The small one actually control the overall shape. So it's like the profile of the hair. And this is the actual spline. If you go hit tab, you can modify the shape. So this is a single spline, but like I said, in the latest version of this blend geometry node setup, you can actually have multiple multiple spline like this. So you can perhaps make like a drawing like this, like a wicker. Probably it needs to be modified in order to make it, if you want to draw something like this. But anyhow, so this spline, let's study this for a bit. Let's select this, just like this guy, delete. Take a look. So multiple strands by default, it has 10 strands. We can increase the number, and you can distort the shapes depending on the resolution of the splines as well. It's gonna give different result. You can append these shapes. The profile shapes can be appended, or you can preview just the shapes, the profile, and you can flip the normal if you want to, and you can control the start and end thickness. This is actually pretty handy. Start and end factor, so you can animate this as well. It's almost like a ink brush setup for geometry nodes. You can randomize the thickness, so it's got pretty much everything. The volume, the lines actually didn't fill up the inside volume. That's probably by design or for simplicity, but that's okay. We can randomly trim it, randomize the seed. We can control the stray amount, so it's straying from the path of the profile. Bevel resolutions, randomize the seed, randomize the tilt. Oh, okay, the rest of them, I mean, you can assign materials. The setup looks like this. I think you can try to build this from scratch, but I'm just gonna do a quick scan just in case in the future if the blend actually disappear. I want to be able to study this from scratch. I'm not gonna do that. So this is the curve attributes that's related to the material of this. If you switch from EV to cycles, and then cycles set it to CPU because I'm using Mac, we get the checker pattern on the curve. So that means the curve actually have UV. You can bake it. And can maybe so you get these stripes. Okay, so that's should be simple enough, but I want to try this. Let's try this hair. Let's do something else. So it works with curve. So if we paste it here, so we have our strand. Save this as SV. I'm gonna try if we have sphere chalk nodes. Sphere chalk is really powerful to procedurally generate curve. Let's try a torus. By default, we get a torus. Let's increase. So you can do this with geometry nodes as well, but with sphere chalk, I could turn this into curve or spline using edge boom. I'll try edge boom. We know, okay, if I turn this into edges, what's gonna happen? We're gonna get this. So each of the objects become like a separate curve, and we can apply this hair into this object. Let's select this, delete. I want to use polyline viewer. Polyline viewer. And I will merge everything, plug this in. So we get this. We can control the radius. Maybe I will subdivide the edges. Keep the endpoints of the poly. And let's see. I will assign the modifier. Okay, maybe select this and then Command L, copy modifier. So we have a result now. We can still control the radius. Okay, so I guess this is pretty interesting looking. Let's turn off the bevel. So we have a total control of the radius. Okay, we can control the tilt as well. I'll just keep it as a poly, I guess. Okay, let's hide this original example. We have something that looks like a wicker pattern, like a basket, for example. And I just like the topology. I like how the single splines become multiple strands like this. It's gonna be super useful. Cycle CPU. Seems to be a little bit messy at the end. Okay, let's say just use the nerves. Turn off endpoints. I'll just keep it. Strand counts, we can increase the strands number. That's going to be heavier. for the blend. Okay, start and end thickness. Randomize the thickness. See, at this point, I probably just need to modify the shader a little bit. Curve UV length base. Okay. Checker. Instead of checker texture, maybe use color ramp. And let's use random color. Okay. We got rainbow color here. Let's use curve UV length base and plug this in. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, okay. Seems to be working. We can have, okay, random per strands as well. But I'm just gonna use this curve UV length base so we have gradient for each curve. So this is what we get. Okay, I mean, it's nothing too fancy, but I think this is it's a good start. You can play around with this idea. Just gonna take a screenshot. You can use Suzanne. Maybe this is good for like a sweater type of setup. If we come back to sphere chalk, let's say instead of torus, we can use the cricket. Vertices and faces. Okay, let's. What happened if we plug that in? Okay. Oh yeah, this guy doesn't have edges. Faces to edges, polygon to edges. Okay, we have our cricket. So it's gonna separate all the edges, but the edges is not always, it's not covering the whole surface. If you want to have a setup where it covers all the surface, maybe you need some kind of algorithm to do that. What I mean is, if you have the monkey head and you want to have all the edges, let's say we have this monkey and then we gonna remesh it. Right click, convert to mesh, and hit tab. You see the topology of this monkey head. It's just like square. If you right click and use these even triangulations, okay, this is actually this is an add-on from Kushiro. If you use these even triangulations, you're gonna see this pattern, like a triangle pattern. This is using some kind of algorithm. Let me try to resize this. Okay, we don't seems to have much control over the size of the triangle unless I use SciPy here. Should have installed this. But these triangulations, I don't know if geometry nodes have this, but the idea is to get these edges. Okay. Oh, the SciPy is actually slower to calculate. Maybe don't worry for that for now. Delete that. All we want is probably just like random lines, random splines, and I think I have a setup that does that in the past. Let's come back to the torus. If you turn on the volume, maybe scatter, distribute points, okay, points inside solid, or populate mesh on the volume, and we plug this into that guy. Yeah, okay. This is exactly what I want to show you. This can be used with that to create, you know, like, I think I've done this in the past. It's like a graffiti strokes. Maybe after you populate the mesh, you can use KD3 closest edges or closest path. Plug this in. You can plug this like that. Coordinate goes there. There you go. Right. I quite like this because it's like a random points inside the torus, and then you just you have this fringy hair set up instantly from the torus. Okay, so I think that's pretty much really what I want to show you is, but the one that does the job, of course, this geometry node setup from ffuthoni. Play around with this. I guess it's really good for anime hair. Really, you don't need to do anything. You don't need this Fairchok stuff. I just want to show you. If you want to use this with Suzanne, for example, you can make like a ponytail pretty easily, or just use this, edit, draw mode on the surface of Suzanne, and just draw. And of course, you cannot just do it this way. You can, I mean, the hair is gonna look pretty ugly, but yeah, you can always adjust each stroke manually. I found that doing this with grease pencil will be much easier, but the curve is like a shortcut. So yeah, I just really like the a geometry nodes that simply works with curved objects in Blender. It reminds me of Maya Paint Effects. Maya Paint Effects has hundreds of attributes that works with curve, but you know, if you are using Blender, you got it here. And there's this setup, this radius. I don't know, I think you can select the, you know, yeah, you can do this type of thing, control the radius, or just option S doing this, the same thing. Select a point, option S, should be, you can control of the radius. Okay. So that's pretty much what I want to show you. Play around with this, I guess. There's so many applications for this type of things. Maybe even like Sadako here, VFX. Yeah, you can create a spline, strands, and then animate the strands. Yeah, anyway, play around with this. Hopefully you find it useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.